Well, you know they say, you are what you eat, but even more so, you are who you have sex with. Hey you guys, so today we are going to be talking about sexual energy exchange. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Today we're going to be talking about sexual energy exchange and how that affects you on a very deep level. If you like this video, please give it a like and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this. You can also check out my other social media down below in the description. I have my Instagram, my Facebook, my Etsy shop, which has clothing, crystal jewelry, and tarot readings. And you can also donate to my GoFundMe if you want to help support my projects and putting out my content. Alright, so let's get on to the video. Alright, so we're talking about sexual energy exchange. Something that I think is a common misconception is that sex can be a one-time deal or many-time deal, and as soon as you walk out that door, you don't bring that person with you. That's not exactly accurate. When you make love to someone or have sex with someone, your energy is being shared with another person, with the result of their energy being shared with you. At our base, we are energetic beings, and anything that's in our space we pick up unless we cleanse it out of our body. So when you have a sexual partner, you have to have a vibrational frequency to connect you to start off with. You have to match in frequency on some level. Now, you can match on a frequency on one level and not in another level, and you can still bring someone in. So for instance, you can have a very high vibration in a certain aspect of your life and a not so high vibration in something else. And so depending on where you are at in your sexual experience, sexual health, and your sexual honoring of yourself, you may be attracting someone who has a lower vibration than you would like. Now, I want to have a disclaimer that I don't believe anyone is bad or good. I just believe that we are on a different frequency, which subsequently attracts different things into our life and has us express differently and just really gives us a different perspective on our reality, which of course is a circular issue, because if you have a certain perception about your reality, you have certain feelings in your body, and if you aren't consciously creating that, then again recreates your reality. So a lot of people tend to be just in this cycle of negativity. So they feel negatively, they create a negative reality, they feel more negative, and it keeps perpetuating. Again, positive people do the same thing. So depending on what frequency you're on, if you're not really paying attention to it, it will keep cycling through until you shift that vibration or you learn the lesson and then shift that vibration. So back to sexual exchange. When you have an encounter with someone, how it works, and this can be sexual or non-sexual, two people come into a space and something drew them in together, so they match on some frequency. But then to stay in that situation, you have to match each other even further. So typically what happens is if someone's in a higher frequency and someone's in a lower frequency, they will either level out, or one person will raise in frequency or one person will drop in frequency. And depending on who is more of a fluid energy or who is more of a solid energy, usually the other person will, they'll adjust down. So the person who's a little more all over the place will typically meet the other person who has a more solid energy. That's why it's so important as you become more conscious, as you are creating your reality, as you are paying attention to your frequency, that you really learn how to ground and you really learn how to be stable within your frequency, so that when you do come across someone, instead of them pulling your frequency down, you actually raise them in frequency. I can do another video on that sometime if you guys would like, and you can comment that down below if you'd like that. But even more so, when you are having sex with someone or you make love to someone, your energy is literally cycled through each other's body. I'm going to be talking about heterosexual sex, but it's a very similar concept for gay and bi experiences as well. But I'm going to explain this in the most simple sense. So how it works is as the man penetrates the woman, and this can happen at different levels of exchange depending on the different type of sexual experience you're having. You can still have a very big energy exchange just from oral sex or even just making out, but I'm going to be talking about specifically penetrative sex because that is the most intense form of this. So when a man penetrates a woman, his energy comes down through him and into the woman, and the energy comes up through her base chakra and all the way up through her crown chakra, and then it arcs over into his crown chakra and comes back through. So there's this cycle of energy that flows through the couple or the two people partaking. As the receiving partner, a woman really takes on the energy of her partner, and a lot of times that can really affect her body and her experience even more so than the man. But even so, her energy then arcs up through him and through. So both parties really do affect each other. But think about this. Imagine how much energy is being pumped through you and how much of that frequency you're taking on. So it's really important to be aware of who you're making love to, because your physical body is, yes, a manifestation of your essence, but you ultimately are energy, and that melding of energies, you do take that on, and unless you consciously cleanse your energy field of that person. And even then, it takes a little while to shift that out. The reason I am talking about this specifically today is I have actually recently experienced this in a really intense and beautiful way, and I felt it was important to share because I think so many people don't realize that when you make love to someone, you are becoming them. You are taking on their energy. And I knew this for women, but in this experience, I'd actually seen how it affects the man as well. I also have another friend who's having a very, very similar experience, and it's just been really, really fascinating. So recently, as you all know, I have become vegan in the last several months, and that's something I've shifted into, but it's definitely something that I'm pretty passionate about as of right now. So because I haven't been putting those vibrations into my body, I have become so much clearer. And I mean those vibrations as when something has been traumatized or something's been murdered, the flesh and being of that animal takes on that experience. And then when we eat those products, again, like in sex, we take on that frequency. We literally are digesting that frequency into our body. Of course, it's going to shift how we are. So when something's in your body, you have to match the frequency, and if it's not going anywhere and if it has that trauma, you are naturally going to shift down into that vibration. Now, if you are very, very conscious, yes, you can not let it affect you, but you can't be like continually thinking about that. It's going to affect your body, whether it's a little or a lot. Since becoming vegan, I have felt so much clearer. My psychic abilities have exponentially grown. I feel much lighter. I feel less angry. I feel like I can bring in peace into my space much, much easier. A lot of spiritual vegans will say that once they decided to go vegan, they felt so much more clarity and peacefulness once they removed the things they were putting in their body that essentially are full of trauma. So one of my love partners, who I recently became acquainted with, eats meat. Or rather, he ate a lot of meat. When we first met, he was like, I don't really like vegetables, I eat a lot of meat, like, I don't care, it's my thing. And I was like, okay, cool. And I didn't really think too much about it until kind of later, and I was like, it like, a few times it kind of went through my mind. I was like, like, I know, like, people exchange energy. Is that going to affect me? Because he's decided to take that vibration on. And so I didn't really think about it all that much, and I really, really liked him. So I was like, oh, well, it's not a big deal, you know, whatever. So we ended up making love, and it was beautiful, and it was lovely, and wonderful, and very honoring space, and just glorious. And I was like, this is amazing, like, I feel so good. But the weirdest thing happened when like right after we'd made love, is I was laying in bed and I was just like, oh, everything's so good. And I began to have the most intense craving for a steak. Like, oh my God, put the steak in my mouth. Like, A1 sauce, give it to me, I want meat in my mouth, essentially. And I was like, what the hell? Like, since becoming vegan, and even before that, meat kind of put me off, and even more so, like, me and Manali, when we talk about meat, like, the taste sounds good to us, but when we think about it, it really kind of turns our stomach. We're like, oh God. And like, more and more I find that I'm really rather repulsed by meat, which surprises me because even just a few months ago, I was eating meat. So it's amazing how much I've changed, not consciously specifically, but like as it's shifted out of my body, it just doesn't feel as good. So to have this experience of being like, not even just chicken, but steak. I haven't eaten red meat in ages, like a long time, since even before I decided to become vegan. And I just turned to him and I was like, I want a steak, like really badly. And he was like, are you okay? Like, I was like, I don't know. This is so weird. And so like, I just thought that was kind of an interesting experience. So we, you know, kept talking. Of course, I mentioned him in a previous video. He lives out of state, so he went away for a little while. And it was like really, really odd to me. And I went over to Manali's and I was like, hey, so I've been craving meat, like to the point of a few like days ago, I was like, oh, like I might want to eat chicken. Like I'm really craving chicken. Like there's a certain level of like abstaining from things, but when my body really craves something, when I eat it, I feel much better. And it was starting to get to that point where I was like, should I try chicken? Should I like, you know, like I was having all these things. And Manali came at me with some very interesting information of someone she's been with in the past, ate a lot of meat. And she noticed that when being intimate with him, that she started craving meat too. And I was so surprised by this. I was like, is this a fluke? Like, what is this? But I was like, wow, that's really interesting. And she is also vegan. So I thought that was really interesting. You know, I was kind of mulling that over in my mind. And so I was talking to my lover on the phone, and he was, I forget how it came up, but he mentioned that he'd had a vegetarian day. And I was like, what did you eat? Like, you don't like do that. He's like, no. He's like, I really kind of feel a little put off by meat recently. And I was like, really? You? Like, that surprises me. And then subsequently, Manali told me that her love interest has also been like starting to feel like meat is less desirable. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting, because I understood us taking on a certain vibration. We're very sensitive. We really pay attention to those feelings. But the fact that on some level we were also integrating our vibration into them. And I thought this was really, really fascinating. So I had been expressing to my lover that it was really kind of concerning me a little bit how much his meat intake was affecting me and how I was feeling a little tousled and I was feeling a little all over the place vibrationally. And I was just like, hey, do you mind just cutting back a little bit before we meet up again or whatever, like when you come to visit? And he was like, well, I'm already kind of doing that, which is really interesting. But yes, like I'll pay attention to that. I was like, wow, thank you so much, and really appreciate it. And I'd like to see if there's a difference. So like the other day, the four of us were all hanging out and we went to a restaurant and we all ordered vegetarian, and it was so exciting. Me and Manali were like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, it was really special. And so I was very curious to see if it felt different, you know, in a sexual experience with him, after he had kind of started shifting that out of his body. And he had also said that since being with me, he was feeling a lot of shifts in his consciousness. He was feeling a lot lighter about certain things, and he was really feeling like he wanted to move out of certain aspects that he had been doing for a long time. And he's like, I would think that, you know, part of it is like, oh, I think she's cute, I want, you know, her to like me or whatever. He's like, but we're not like full on dating. Like, I'll leave and it's not going to affect me if, you know, like, it's not going to make you like me more if I don't do those things. He's like, but I really genuinely feel like I'm actually going to shift my diet. Like, I feel like I want to do that for myself, not just because of you. And I was like, wow, that is so cool. Like, that there was such a shift. And mind you, we're talking within a few weeks, like a huge shift. Like the stuff he was saying when I first met him and the stuff he's saying now are like so different. And it's like really amazing. And so I feel like I'm in this, like, in the midst of almost this, like, energetic experience. And I also feel like with Manali, it's like another layer of that. It's like we're noticing that you really are who you make love to. And so knowing that information, it's really important that you honor yourself and only make love to people that you admire and that you feel are in a good space. And likewise, work on yourself, work on keeping your frequency high, make good decisions for yourself, because you want to be able to match in frequency with those types of people that you want to make love to. So as a, you know, community, or as a as a species, as we raise in frequency, we are all going to be doing that on some level. So that's really important. I'm not saying, oh, there's a group of people we shouldn't be having sex with. That's not the thing. It's really about knowing where you're at and understanding that who you attract into your space is a reflection of your vibration. What we put out, we receive. So that's important, but then also realizing when you take it a step further into sex, you not only match on some frequency, but you take on their energy specifically. And then when you walk out the door, they are a part of you, at least for a while. When you match with someone in frequency, when you walk in a room, you can walk away. You don't take them with you necessarily, unless, they're really intense or you feel like you've taken them on. But when you make love to someone, you literally take them into your body. And that could be male and female. Like I said, there's a circular energy exchange. So I really encourage you, as you become more aware of these things, as you become more sensitive, because I think people who are less sensitive, you may not notice those little things. They may not, notice like, oh, I feel like my diet is like, I'm craving other things. Like, I don't think they would even correlate them between, oh, that has to do with the person I've made love to. It's just me and Manali are so sensitive on a daily basis about who comes into our space, who, what we eat, who we spend time with, all of those things, that when something changes for us, we really take note. So I really encourage you to take note of the people you become sexually intimate with. I know so many women who have had sexual experiences where they'll have sex with someone and be like, oh, like, I don't really like them, or, oh, I can't believe I had sex with them because I don't feel that, like, I don't like them, or like, oh, like, but they'll make love to them because they either feel bad that, it's like, oh, we were making out and it went there and we had sex, or, like any myriad of things. Even if it's someone you're dating, if you're starting to feel negative around them and you make love to them, you're perpetuating your own vibration being in a lower state. I've dated many people who, near the end of the relationship, I was just feeling like every time I spent time with them, like, when I was away from them, I'd be growing and expanding, and as soon as I'd hang out with them, like, I would just shift into this like lower frequency. And sometimes I didn't even notice it specifically, and then a friend would mention it, and I was like, oh, wow, yeah, you're right. That's like really interesting. So it's important to really honor yourself and really pay attention to what frequency and how you feel around a certain person, and, like, really be honoring of yourself and be like, no, like, just like you wouldn't eat junk food all the time and like put that into your body, like, be aware of who you're putting into your body, essentially. And it's not a bad thing to say, no, like, I don't think that's healthy for me right now, just like anything else. That's a form of self-love. That's you consciously taking care of yourself and knowing you want to keep your frequency in a higher vibration. And that's totally fine. And if the person you're with can't understand that, then maybe you shouldn't be with them in the first place. Just on a side note. So I encourage you to really pay attention to who you are with as you raise in consciousness and awareness. It's a really important part of the self-love practice, and I think it's a really beautiful experience. And honestly, it's just something else to be aware of. I honestly think that making love and having sex is one of the most beautiful things you can do with another person. It is a beautiful connection. It's two souls coming together and touching source. I think it's amazing, and I really encourage healthy, consensual, beautiful, honoring sex. So within that exchange, remember to honor yourself and to honor your partner and have these conversations. Be aware of what frequency you're holding, what frequency they're holding, what is the most healthy for both of you. And really have that conversation. As we raise in frequency, as we raise in consciousness, these are the conversations we're going to be having more. And you'll notice as you become more sensitive, you won't be able to have an interaction that's less than healthy without feeling the consequences. I know years ago, I was not aware of these things. And like I said, I'd have to have a friend tell me or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, no, you're right. That's so true. But now, because I'm so sensitive, I have to consciously make these decisions. And I really feel it's important that this information is shared, because then in these situations, instead of it being like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, like, I don't want to disappoint this person or whatever, you can be like, no, this is a health thing. This is a me thing. This is a self-love thing. This isn't just like a, oh, in the moment it doesn't feel good thing. This is a, I am taking on this person. This person is then going to walk out the door with me energetically. This person is now a part of my DNA, especially for women. We literally are taking on their, you know, like their essence. So it's really important to acknowledge that. And yes, if you wear a condom on some level, like the scientific essence, if you will, isn't necessarily inside of you, but energetically for sure. And then even more so if you're not using a condom, it's really, really important to acknowledge that literally a part of them is in your body, and that is going to shift your frequency, whether it's higher or lower. And that's something I wanted to mention too about the story, is I did actually feel a difference making love to this man after he had shifted in a lot of things. And this is only after a few weeks. It was amazing. I literally felt healed. I felt my vibration raise because of the consciousness he had within our relationship, but also just the act of making love, and that energy exchange felt much more pure because we were making different decisions. And I noticed that after making love to him the next time, I no longer had a craving for meat. I was like, oh my God, like afterwards I was like, oh my God, I'd love a mango right now. I'd love an avocado. And I was like, I get really hungry after sex. What can I say? And I was just like really excited. And then I was like, oh my God. And we're talking the day before. We were at the restaurant, and I was like craving, like I almost ate meat, like I almost ordered it, like it almost happened. And the next day I was like, oh wow, that shifted out, like I don't really feel that anymore. And that was like really amazing. So that an energy exchange can go both ways. You can raise someone's frequency, and you can also lower their frequency. And that's not a judgment. That's just where you're at. And so it's really important that we all take responsibility for our frequency and constantly renew ourselves, constantly make better choices, constantly do what's healthy for us, and love ourselves, because automatically you are going to help shift the planet by interacting with other people, whether it's sexually or not, but even more so with a partner. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you like this video, please give it a like and hit subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Again, if you want to support my projects and my content, you can donate to my GoFundMe in the description down below. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Many blessings. Namaste. And don't forget, it's all about the soul journey.